Welcome to Geography at Bullerswood School. We believe you have made an excellent choice. What follows is some important information for you to consider prior to embarking on your Geography A-level journey. We hope that you find the subject and the Edexcel specification as enjoyable to learn as we do to teach. Please take some time to have a look at this information again prior to your arrival in September. The structure of the A-level course. So we follow the Edexcel exam board. This is a vaguely new linear 2-year course. There are no AS levels, so you have your exams at the end of year 13. You'll have mock exams at the end of year 12, and you have to go on 4 days of field trips. So we usually go to Swanage in the spring and summer term of being in year 12. You'll have 3 exams at the end of the year, plus an independent coursework investigation called the NEA. You will have 2 teachers who will teach you for 6 lessons per week in total. So you will learn 2 topics at the same time. So the topics that we follow. In Year 12, we follow dynamic landscapes. So tectonic processes and hazards. Landscape system and processes, we look at coasts. That is a topic that we have chosen. Very similar to what you've done at GCSE, but they're in far greater depth and detail, and I think a little bit more interesting because you study a few more contemporary case studies. At the same time, you will look at some human topics under the title of dynamic places. You will look at globalisation, which is so current at the moment, really interesting. We'll look at shaping places and particularly regenerating places, so investigate which places have been run down and what they have done to improve those. In Year 13, you study again physical and human topics under different headings. You've got physical systems and sustainability. So we look at the water cycle and water insecurity. It is more interesting than it potentially sounds. The water cycle is about how humans are using the water and the issues of water usage for the future and how that has caused conflict around the world. So it's not just physical geography, it has human in it as well. Then we've got the carbon cycle and energy insecurity. Again, the main focus is on energy insecurity. How are we going to get our energy for the future? Where is that coming from? How do we access it? What conflicts can arise because of this? As well as the physical geography behind how we get that energy in the first place. Finally, we have superpowers, which is about conflict between the USA, China, the UK, which is the most powerful country in the world, why, what has happened over time in history, again, really current to what's going on in today's world. And then we look at health, rights and intervention. So this is your traditional development style topic and looks into human rights and what we should do about trying to improve development in the world. So you've got quite a variety of topics. There are some similarities to GCSE, but on the whole they're far more contemporary, up to date. You look at places in a lot more detail and it's focused a lot more on global issues around the world that need solving. So assessment, it's linear, which means all of your exams at the end of year 13. You'll have 3 exam papers. You'll have paper 1, which is a physical geography paper. So you're tested on your year 12 and 13 topics. You again have paper 2, which is more of a human geography paper, which is worth exactly the same as paper 1, so 30%, and you'd have a 2-hour 15-minute exam. Don't let that scare you. A lot of A-level exams are much longer than they used to be, and our A-level course has a lot more essays in it too. Again, don't let that put you off. A lot of A-level exams have many essays in them, so we need to improve and work on your writing style. Then you've got paper 3, which is a synoptic investigation. It has a resource booklet with it that is not pre-released. And you read about a global issue in the world, and you're asked questions about it, you're asked your opinions on that too. Then we have your coursework. Your coursework is worth 20% of your overall A-level. It's about 3,000 to 4,000 words. It's mainly going to be diagrams and images, and it's based on your field trip that you go on in Year 12. You choose the title and what you do it on. We go on a variety of field trips. The main one is generally to Swanage in Easter 21, and the final dates need to be confirmed. We also try and take you out to do some local field work in our beautiful woodland on site, and we'd also like to take you to other locations that are particularly interesting at that time. We're liking to try and have a geography club. It was really good a few years ago, but we need a few more volunteers to get this going. And we also have opportunities for you to be mentors for Year 11 students to help them to improve for their GCSE, and also give in-class support for some of the lower years at school. So folders and equipment. So we ask that you have a geography ring binder or a lever arch folder that you bring to lessons. This should contain dividers for each of the topics that you'll study, and you should also bring your own lined paper to the lessons. You're likely to be asked for a donation, perhaps towards some photocopying costs in September, because we do rely quite heavily on a number of worksheets. Textbooks, we do have a few textbooks that you can use in lessons, but you can't take these home. So some students will choose to buy their own textbooks, others will buy a smaller revision guide or the online version of the textbooks themselves. There are a whole variety that you can use, but these are the copies that we have in lessons, and they can often be purchased from Amazon or the Oxford University Press website. So before you start with us in September, we would like you to do some preparation work. So the best geographers are those who can work independently and have an interest in the world around them. On the pages that follows, there are a variety of geographical resources for you to investigate. We want you to choose at least 3 different geographical resources to learn about. So for example, a book, a documentary and a podcast and a news article. I'd then like you to write up what you have learnt from reading or doing those activities. This should be 1 page minimum per activity. So for example, you could read a book and write a book review, you could write a fact file about a news story, or you could complete a course into investigating water conflict. When you start in September, your teacher will ask you to talk about what you've done and collect in your write-ups as evidence of what you've completed. We're looking at your writing style, your geographical skills, so how you use maps, graphs, statistics, your use of opinion, and your ability to think geographically. On the next slide, I will show you some of their resources. So, geographical resources. I have categorised the resources into different sections. You need to pick a minimum of 3 to investigate. I do not want you to read just 3 books. I'd like you to read a book and perhaps a magazine, and then perhaps watch something. The key here is to have some variety. You can see here that I have underlined some sections in blue. If you click on those on your worksheets pre-course tasks that you have, you should be taken to those websites. These are generally podcasts. The one with the TV are generally videos and iPlayer resources. These are games. And this resource here is some competitions. We have some also Twitter feeds that you can follow. The final thing we'd like you to do is to write a 1-2-page essay. You have a choice of questions from those below, A or B, so you can choose on human or physical geography. So you can look overall, is globalisation positive or negative? Okay, I would like you to cover both sides of the argument, so the positives and the negatives. Consider different groups of people. Use case study examples. They might not be ones you've studied before, you might go out of your way to find some new ones. And I want it to be about 2 or 3 sides of A4, but a key is to be handwritten for us to take in. The second question is, why are some places more at risk from disasters than others? This contains many different types of disaster. You could look at tectonic, you could look at cyclones, you could look at any kind of physical hazard. Think about the management of the hazard. So think about how developed the country is, what the level of the population is, a whole variety of things that could affect that. Use some examples of case studies, and again, 2 sides of A4 handwritten. So we wish you a happy summer holiday and look forward to seeing you in September. Should you have any questions about geography at Buller's Wood or about the holiday tasks, please do not hesitate to email me, the head of geography, at the email below.